Welcome to this episode of Fargonauts, where we're taking a break from Twin Peaks because we finished season one, left it on a nice cliffhanger for everybody. We're going to jump into Blue Velvet, though, where we're going to, I guess, Broadshow's revisiting it. Wilson hasn't seen it, but it's going to have a lot of through lines between Twin Peaks, or it's going to have a lot of similar themes and scenarios and mood and atmosphere, I would say, to Twin Peaks. But yeah, I'm excited to jump into Blue Velvet, so I have to change something on here real quick. But yeah, we'll get into it and we'll talk about Blue Velvet when we're done watching it. So stay tuned.
Yes.
It all started with an ear. And here we are.
Oh, Robin, what's up, dude?
Twin Peaks music much?
Yeah, I'm honestly wondering, is this Julie Cruz? That is an animatronic bird.
Fake birds. Fake birds.
For a second, I was like, okay, maybe that is a real bird. But then, nope.
All birds are fake.
All birds are fake.
Are not real.
Birds aren't real.
This has got to be Julie Cruz. Paul? No, his dad. Okay.
His dad.
Just looks like Paul.
I'm Paul.
Fucking Paul.
Oh, bird.
Your animatronic bird.
Oh, picturesque little get together
Yeah,
here.
now we're back at the beginning.
I got my
That is a
bird.
fake ass bird.
He's got one of the Beatles from the beginning in his
Yeah,
mouth.
from the beginning. Yeah.
Just shoves a huge like centipede in your mouth.
Yeah, right there. Just ate one.
Slimy yet satisfying.
Is this our closing shot?
No.
Okay, it was a fake bird.
We actually get the payoff with this, but then Dorothy Vallens gets reunited with her kid. That's the last shot, I think.
Fucking spoiler, dude.
So there is
There he is.
some sort of goodness and light and peace in all this.
Yeah. I mean, you could read into Frank being just some kind of force of madness that plagues the city or something.
Yeah.
And once he's dead, the sun comes out and people are happy again.
Once you're caught in his wake, everything just gets pulled in like a
Yeah.
black hole.
Yeah.
His presence in the movie indicates his presence in this world, in this city, and then once he's gone out of it, we're able to return to like the normalcy that, or the standard that we were introduced to at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Little
She's never
Dennis the
gonna sing
Menace
that
looking
song.
fuck.
There it was, Blue Velvet. We have a lot to say, I think. I mean,
We returned to from whence we came.
yeah. So, very beautiful movie, I would say. Aesthetically,
Mhm. Mhm.
just from the aesthetical standpoint, it was shot really well.
The aesthetical standpoint.
The mood of it was super. Like it changed.
Moody.
It changed moods throughout the story, and how they played it at the beginning was very picturesque. Like I think I said, it was very Norman Rockwell-esque. Happy vibes, kids walking to school,
That was one thing I was like. There are things in this that make it feel anachronistic in ways. Like a lot of the cars and some of the fashion and some of the buildings make it seem like it's maybe around the 50s or 60s.
Right, yeah, it has that aesthetic to it.
And then there's other things where it's like, okay, this seems more maybe, late 70s, 80s, something like that.
Um, and unbeknownst to us, we kind of went off on a tangent a little bit, and I just want to touch base real quick on it. If you remember our discussion on Hork-Bajir, the holiday we invented,
And Haze Fang.
in Haze Fang, it was at the forefront of the subconscious context of this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, somehow. Most of it. I don't know if we ever got a one-act play, but
I don't think anybody really specifically chose animals either.
True.
Except this guy. He chose the dog.
Well, in those slow
and there
motion
was no gravy
sections,
included.
I mean, Frank growled like a lion in a few of those slow motion sections.
He might have chosen an animal there.
Sure. We'd have to
Hey, there's the
evaluate-
bird in there too. Did they chose that? They chose that bird.
Yeah, they did.
David
They
Lynch
chose the
chose that
robins.
bird.
They chose the
Well,
robin.
Yeah.
We might have to reevaluate each specific meal
And the Beatles.
that is shown being eaten just to make
Oh,
sure
yeah,
there's
there's
no
any
gravy
inclusion.
inclusion.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, let's get into the
I
movie.
I thought
a
we
little
weren't
bit.
gonna get. I thought we weren't gonna get unconsciously unconscious, but we did.
Yeah, that was one that I too. I saw that and I was like, I don't know if we'll get that, but we sure as hell did. Good call on that too. Also,
Always
the father
thinking.
could be in his infirmed state in the beginning, could be unconscious
Oh,
or
yeah.
unconscious.
Yeah.
This could have all taken place in this guy's head when he was under this
Yeah.
issue. Like, he's having dreams about his son meeting up with this evil doer and this lady that sings Blue Velvet.
Well,
and
this
stuff.
from here is where we go down into the Beatles and the muck and grime and all that.
Yeah, it changes the mood and atmosphere pretty quick. You hear this dog, and then the bug scratching it lower, like in the soil, and
Yeah, the sound design on that was really visceral.
Mm-hmm. And they did a really good job with that.
It does, when you say that this could all be in this guy's head, it kind of it does make me agree with you when you say that it has a consistent mood throughout. Because the tone definitely changes scene to scene, depending on what's happening, or even within the scene it might change.
Mm-hmm.
But this town, Lumberton, and the residents in it, there's in this scene that we're seeing here, there's a little town theme song that plays,
Yeah.
and it never ever comes up again. But this place, these people, these events, maybe even seem like they are a somebody's memory of them. It's viewed through this one specific, maybe it's Jeffrey, and he's thinking of oh, my neighborhood where I grew up, it was so picturesque and so beautiful and serene, but then I went through this really weird, fucked up situation in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It has a view to it of the world itself. The world doesn't really feel real ever.
No, it does. It feels like a far off place. It seems like a dream world to me.
Mm-hmm.
These are crazy people, especially when you meet up with the suave motherfucker that sings the Candy Colored Clown. And look at this.
Yeah.
There's some foreshadowing with guns, close up of guns and shit like that.
There's another very similar scene of somebody watching a television that is foreshadowing for later in the movie, where what they're watching on TV is somebody creeping upstairs, and you just see the feet slowly going up the stairs.
Exactly. So there's a lot of hidden montages.
Bet you there's a
that come
lot
up.
more. Yeah, I bet you there's a lot more foreshadowing than we caught in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Probably. It seems with the TVs and stuff, it's just a strange, the people themselves are strange too, outside of Frank and the suave guy. It's there's a set of train like The Simpsons, where it's one set of train tracks, and the second you cross that, you've moved from the Norman Rockwell part of town to the one where every weird person, every criminal, all the weirdest stuff is over there.
Mm-hmm. And they're watching another kind of spooky show on the TV right here too that I saw. There was somebody climbing upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
a shadowy figure.
Which matches, obviously, MacLachlan back there, but Frank coming up the stairs at the end of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
or even earlier in the movie when he kind of creeps up on them.
Yeah, he pops out of the shadow when Jeffrey's over at her place. And he's like, "Oh,
Here's
neighbor, huh?"
Right.
here's this duo.
Yep, this great duo, dynamic duo that just sits there probably the whole film.
Because this dog is just mean, like staring something down
Yeah.
until MacLachlan passes by.
So yeah, like the intro of Kyle MacLachlan's character, he had to come home because of his dad having an accident, and then he kind of goes to his old stomping grounds and meets up with a neighbor or an associate of his dad's to talk about this ear that he found in the field, and then turns
The
out
ear
that
that starts it all.
the ear that starts it all, that gets this whole mystery going, and then Laura Dern's character, who's the daughter of the detective that has the ear now, remembers Jeffrey,
Dern and
and she comes out of the shadows kind of creepily.
Mm-hmm.
She's
So it's a-
300% Dern in this fucking movie, dude.
It is, yeah. She's hardcore Derning it up.
All the way Dern.
Her entrance is just very dreamlike too. Like she just comes out of the shadow. You hear her voice, a disembodied voice, and then she pops out.
Well, 'cause
Bloodied.
we see like a picture of her hanging up somewhere, so we are introduced to the idea that like we get a context that this is a daughter of somebody, or it's somebody that like he might have reason to know. So we have this concept of her, and then we only hear her voice, and we don't see the physical being, and then she enters the frame, and it's very much like a in a minor way, but like we've set up this like person that's only been talked about, and then we're seeing her all of a sudden. She's like a moral. She could be maybe seen as like an angel type figure on his shoulder, like maybe trying to talk him not out of his Scooby Doo schemes, but like trying to guide him in a direction of more like, hey, when should we include my father? And maybe this isn't such a good idea to do it this way.
Well, I think she embodies innocence in this whole story. She's very much the embodiment or like the manifestation of innocence, and you have to protect that at all costs. That's why like the dad is very protective. Like, is she involved in this? And Jeffrey's like, no, but is kind of in a way, but not like to the extent that Jeffrey's in it. Like where, she sat in the car the whole time while he was getting his dick sucked and whatever else was happening there, getting cut up with knives and shit.
I almost thought that scene where nearer the end, where Jeffrey is sitting with the detective, that when he was saying like, "Oh, who else knows about these pictures? Oh, and you're done investigating it now." I thought that was going to lead to a reveal of the detective like working with Frank or being on his payroll or something, because he was trying to cover bases, being like, "Okay, and you're done investigating, so I'll just let it slide for now. Make sure that my daughter doesn't get any closer to this."
That's true too. Yeah. But there's a lot of hidden motifs that you can see from that carried on into Twin Peaks. Obviously, like
What you have frozen right here, you could just switch this with a frame of the same thing from Twin Peaks, and it would cut from
the lights that are kind of like just on wires, not on like a big stand, like a boom pole. That's
would be
very
like
Twin Peaks.
like a swipe fade, where the truck is the swipe, and you go from Arlene's to the double R.
Arlene's.
Arlene's. Yeah, the double Arlene's. So both times that they go to this diner, they sit down on opposite sides of the booths, obviously, and both get sodas, and he orders a sandwich both times. Looks like, I don't know, BLT or something. It's just funny how it repeats like that.
Fucking D-hops in this movie.
I always read so much into those little things that I notice. Like, is David Lynch trying to communicate like, well, he's got food and she doesn't because he's hungrier. He's more engaged in this mystery than she is.
Yeah, I think he wants to have some kind of like fun or like distraction from his dad in the hospital. So this is like the best thing for him to get a girl that he knows along for the ride, so he can have fun with another girl his age or something like around his age, something to do. But then it spirals so quick when Frank gets introduced.
That boy, dude.
He freaking goes off the rails in this film, and he's like the standout of the film. He's so crazy. The choices that he makes as far as like the villain, he is the scariest villain I have ever seen in a movie. I think because of that ether
It's
that he carries
unpredictable.
around. Yeah, it's like when he does that, he unleashes the baby. Like Wilson, you said, like
Yeah, it's just a baby.
he unleashes the baby,
Goes
and
full baby.
babies are
You never go full
unpredictable.
baby.
You never go full baby, and babies are very unpredictable, and their mood swings are crazy, and you don't know what to expect, and you never know what to expect from his character, and it's
We were
very
kind of
freaky.
we were talking about Frank before, I think before we started recording, and how basically he's just like where we start in this idyllic, place. We kind of come back to it later, but like once you encounter Frank, he's like you get caught in his wake like a black hole, and you just get sucked into this just fucking absolute craziness that
Mhm.
just like permeates the rest of that large chunk of the movie.
His
It's like
performance is so impactful that once we've met him, when we're not spending time with Frank, you're wondering about like what's Frank doing?
Well,
yeah,
he has
he,
that
he
great scene where after he's done huffing, like this one is great because you get to see it firsthand. Like what the fuck? Why is he doing that? But then
fucking D House. Yeah, sorry.
no, it's
Continue.
okay. He talks to Jeffrey in that like parking lot after, or it was just like a dirt mound basically that they pull into after Jeffrey punches him in the face, and he's like pointing at him, and he's kind of saying like the lyrics to In Dreams, where he's like, in
Mhm.
dreams I walk
We
with
Right.
you.
we walk together.
Yeah, well, he's like, in dreams you're mine. It's like, so you're in Frank's nightmare world. I think. I mean, there's so much things you can read into. Like Frank is a nightmare of this world, or Frank
Yeah.
is the dreamer of this world, and he can like make anything happen. Like he even has like a police detective on his payroll
I
that's
when
giving him drugs and doing things like that. There's so
well I
many interesting things with his character that you could say he's just a embodiment of a force of evil or something.
yeah.
Right.
I know because I know we were joking about it because it is really funny in that scene where the chick just like gets up on the car and starts dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent that scene talking about like, hey, this is funny and kind of riffing on it. But I genuinely was wondering like, wait, where did she come from? She wasn't in the
Yeah.
car before.
I was like,
So
did I miss something?
that is kind of like those moments in Twin Peaks or other things that are similar to this, where it's like a mood kind of takes over the scene, and like if other characters or props or things start appearing, you don't really question it too much.
Yeah, here's the
Ooh,
Right.
scene.
that footage of the highway was very much the return.
The Return and
Fucking
Lost
And
Highway.
probably Lost Highway as well.
D Hops was like fucking Nick Cajun before fucking Nick Cage in this fucking movie.
Can we please use AI to make a movie someday where it's Frank, it's Al Pacino's character from Heat, and
Nick Cage. Like,
Gary Oldman from Fifth Element, and yeah, Nick Cage from like Face Off
Nick
or
Cage
something.
from like, or like Bad Lieutenant or something.
Just the four of those characters acting together as the leads in a movie. The most like scene chewing, over the top, lovely performances.
mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, there in the scene where Frank, there were a lot of moments in this where I was trying to read into, is Jeffrey, are we supposed to um, see qualities in Frank that we might also recognize in Jeffrey, or that like see that if Jeffrey doesn't fly straight and true, someday he might go down the path that might lead to him being more like Frank, you
Well,
know?
yeah, because there was that hit me kind of thing where he didn't want to hit Dorothy,
Hmm.
and Frank has no issue hitting Dorothy. Like
Yeah,
that's his thing, and then she's
that
kind of
added.
got into it too. She's like, I want to be hit. And,
Yeah, she was egging him on too. Um, and then that added to the scene where they're in the car. I think it's but before he punches Frank. Frank says something like, he looks at he like stops what he's saying and gives Jeffrey a look and is like, "You're me," or says
mm-hmm.
something to that effect.
Yep, you're like me.
Yeah, it's like him getting drawn into this world starts corrupting him from this kind of like more altruistic, curious guy into it actually starts changing him, and he recognizes it, and it scares him. You can
Yeah.
tell.
Here's this really dreary moment here. This is
Oh,
it's beautiful, but like derelict and kind of. It's got nature on one side and industry on the other, and there's beat up dude in the middle. Like it's conveying a lot in one scene.
I definitely, I don't know about you guys, but that goes through my mind for sure. Like I'll go someplace and I'll just think like, I don't even know what kind of scene or what kind of movie or what would be taking place here, but this location would be just a striking visual to be able to use.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody was probably taking a drive or just having a little walkabout and was like, "Ooh, yeah."
How about what Twin Peaks or Lynchian things did you recognize in this?
The score, definitely the score.
Yeah.
The sleuth aspect. I mean the Laura Dern and Kyle MacLachlan inciting incident of them like, hey, I found an ear. Let's go solve this mystery. They want to start doing the Hork-Bajir solving mysteries aspect of that.
Yep. There's the the log town, the lumber town of it all.
Lumber town. I mean, the lighting. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The darkness. The imagery of like the reoccurring imagery of like we saw that candle that was being snuffed out. Wind blowing. Dark corridors, things like that.
I think it was Jeffrey having a nightmare. Like slowed down footage of screams, flashes of angry faces. Like that happens in The Elephant Man. That happens in Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. It's very Lynchian when those dream or nightmarish moments happen.
The picturesque kind of town that has horrible things happening in it is very Twin Peaksy.
The
Jack
scene.
Nance.
Oh yeah. After fucking Jeffrey smacks Dorothy, and it's that weird like slow motion fucking sex scene thing too.
That's when D Hops releases his guttural expression.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot. Yeah. There's even some things like we were saying that reminded us of like Eraserhead too, and like
that spotlight on the outside of the industrial building. I think it's like at the end here, wherever he follows them to in this little scene.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
On the outs, yeah, where you got it right there, smack dab.
Yeah, I'll go a few seconds in here. Right here. Yeah, David Lynch and factories and just mills and things like that. Like, look at that. The shadow play happening there is great.
Yeah, good shadow.
Shadow play.
The interplay between like that Norman Rockwell, like naivety or innocence, and the like presence of it's like a mingling of that with the ideas of like industry, commerce, the evil that men do, like the off-color things, people, places in a town that make up a community.
Yeah.
All big hallmarks, I would say, in multiple Lynch works, especially Twin Peaks.
What do we think Frank's motive, other than just getting Dorothy to like do his bidding and stuff like that? What do you think he was trying to do? Like, did he really want Dorothy just to like be his puppet and slave, kind of, and like sing him
there's
songs?
Some weird surrogate mother thing to it too.
Well, because when he turns to baby.
When he becomes baby,
he gets full-blown baby.
There's mommy issues involved.
It kind of
very
feels like
tit focused because he calls her tits, and he's like, "Those are mine." He just looks at her like food, like a baby looks at her mom. Food's here.
Yeah.
It to me, he almost there's an aspect of it that reads to me like he seems like a Wyndham Earl or like a if we're comparing it directly to Twin Peaks. Frank seems like a Wyndham Earl or a Bob or one of those kinds of people where his specific sets of wants and needs are completely different from any other person in the world, and he has like these set of beliefs. Like the one thing that they never explained that I found very specific was when he came into the apartment, when he was introduced, he immediately was like, "Oh, fucking, it's too bright in here," and turned off this one specific light and had her light one candle. And I was like, "Oh, damn, does he like go places and have them turn out lights and light specific candles? Like maybe he's like super specific about the lighting. Like it's got to be just so specific for him because he believes that it connects him more to whatever dreamlike stuff he feels on the ether. He's just so fucking kooky.
Mm-hmm.
He's operating off of a different book.
Right.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly what his deal is because he even has multiple personalities. He's got the well-dressed man personality.
Yeah, maybe that's
Yeah,
his
goddamn it.
goal, is to just be able to like whatever he believes and whatever he wants and needs fulfilled, of the things he gets from women, the lighting in the room, the things he's drinking or songs he's listening to. It all seems to set him off. And like maybe his goal is to just, I gotta just keep going as I am. I gotta maintain as long as I can. And he like maybe he doesn't even see an end for himself. He just needs to keep going.
Right.
Yeah, he's just a force of nature. I'd say he's just a weird force of nature that.
Yeah. He just comes in, pulls everybody in, and everyone basically gets destroyed because of it. You know what I mean?
And even like when they're harassing Jeffrey in the car, like Jack Nance is trying to like get like information out of it, and they're like, "What do you say?" And he's like, "No," and they laugh at everything he like says. Like even if it's
Right.
the most innocuous kind of response, like he said what, and then he goes,
That fucking car, dude. And the fucking D Hops, fucking Isabella Rossellini, Brad Dourif, Jack Nance, fucking old fucking uh Kyle MacLachlan, and then that random dude who I don't know.
The rando.
It's just think about that guy now. Looking back, that guy's looking at that car, just like, look at all these fuckers, and then there's just me.
God, I still can't. I can't unsee. I can't not see the suave character as Dr. Yue. Oh, blinker's on.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on seeing this for the first time, Wilson? Like,
It's hard to fully take in a movie like this when you're watching it with other people.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Because me, when I watch movies like this, I might say like a few things out loud to myself, or I'm like, oh shit, or like, oh, I might have like little color comments here and there. But especially if it is a filmmaker I'm interested in, or if they're telling a particularly engrossing story, I'm pretty quiet, enraptured kind of person.
Yeah,
And
I got
I
sucked
think
in the
that-
first time. Like there was like this
Yeah.
air about this movie before I watched it. Like everybody was saying, like, "Oh yeah, this movie, whatever." And I watched it. I was entranced once
Right.
D Hops popped in, and I was like,
Right.
"He does suck you in." Like, okay, now I have to watch for like what this crazy guy does next. You know?
I think this
Well,
one-
and like, oh, I was just gonna say that, like, when you watch it too, like I was saying when I was younger, when I was a younger lad and watched this movie, this first, like, I don't know, half hour, whatever, I was just confused as shit, like what's happening, because there's so much random shit happening until you really get into the bulk of it. Once he starts getting in with the Isabella Rossellini and fucking Frank of it all. But like at first it was just like, holy shit, because I hadn't watched too many Lynch movies up until that point, and I'd seen Twin Peaks but not anything else, I don't think. And I went into that and I was just like, what the shit? And then once you really get rolling in it, then like you said, I was just fucking just enraptured with the movie, just entranced.
I definitely liked it. I think this is something that I will have to watch a few times on my own and try to pay
Yeah.
Yeah,
specific
do it.
attention to, like the softer dialogue lines and just little more intricate things.
Well, yeah, and the shots and like the choices that some characters do, like when Isabella Rossellini like grabs the picture from under the couch. Kyle MacLachlan's just watching this happen, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" And she's like writhing around on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, what is happening? What's up with this chick now?
Yeah, that for sure was Lynchian.
Yep.
Like out of his music videos, kind of Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Josie, turn her shirt off completely.
All right, Isabella.
Get down on the floor.
Yeah, I would
Can
suggest.
you imagine the relationship between those two that happened?
Yes, it's very strange. We should definitely, if you haven't seen it, either of you, we should do a dive into Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That one is also a really good depiction of Hollywood, actually, and what Lynch, I would say, thinks about just the industry, maybe.
Right.
It's really interesting to watch, and it's really good. Yeah, we should definitely watch it again sometime, or watch it eventually.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I know that I haven't. Some of this stuff I've kind of been like, since we've started rewatching Twin Peaks and started talking about it, I've been like, on my own time, should I watch Mulholland Drive? Should I watch? I wanted to save Blue Velvet to watch it with you guys, but like some of the stuff I am like, should I dip my toe in to see what kind of influences and all that? But I'm kind of held off just in case we talk about it. So yeah, I mean, like,
Right.
it'd be fun.
The next film we're going to be watching, though, after season 2 of Twin Peaks, is Fire Walk with Me.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to dive into The Return, which is going to be really fun. So,
Gosh,
yeah.
I don't feel unprepared. I just don't know how to feel about my level of preparedness for that.
I know it's going to be fun, though. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
because I haven't revisited any scenes, but like just seeing these characters grow, like Kyle MacLachlan from Biddy Coop to Biddy Dougie, and
I still haven't finished The Return.
yeah.
So I was waiting to do it with you guys.
I think the last time that we talked about it, that's where I knew that you stood on it, is that you hadn't finished it. So like, part of my excitement for revisiting The Return is seeing your reaction to the full and complete, slap and dong on the table. And I can imagine that after watching Fire Walk with Me, or maybe even season 2 or The Return, we might have things that we kind of loop back around to.
Right.
that's true. Like, symbolism and whatever else Lynch likes to put in his subconscious context, or whatever, like his subcontext, I guess.
Having not seen The Return since it was on air, I kind of get the feeling like that's like The Return might specifically have some stuff in it that would, I feel like, harken back to make me feel like, oh, that reminds me of Blue Velvet now that I've seen that,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, David, good stuff.
What a blast, huh?
I see what you did there.
Great time.
Comedy. Laura Dern is terrifying.
Comedy.
She does look terrified. Like, oh my god, she's so strung out.
Man, you want
That
to talk
Laura
about
Dern crying face.
yeah, that scene where I don't know that we can actually like go through that because of the content, but
Oh yeah, that just
face that anguished face that Laura Dern makes is so good.
Jeffrey, what's going on? He put his disease in me.
Yeah, that's
Those are
like, I'm
amazing.
gonna have to rewatch just to really get that first time she says it and get the context and everything.
Dern's Derning it.
You're Derning it.
Both of them.
Anything else to
Derning
say
it,
about this
Peter.
film? I would say if whoever hasn't seen it, go watch it. If you're a fan of just
Yeah.
a mood and atmosphere,
Yeah.
we're watching it during a spooky season, and it's definitely a spooky kind of vibe.
It was. Yeah.
This, well, I don't know that I can say that. There's part of me that was like, if you've never seen a David Lynch movie, this might not be the one to start with because it's a bit challenging in a couple of different ways. But then again, I can't be like, go watch Eraserhead first because that's also kind of challenging.
Oh, that's
Oh,
more challenging, I would say.
Yeah, I'm trying to weigh like what may be more or less. I mean, like the Elephant Man, maybe, I don't know.
This kind of gives you a decent
Oh, did John
structure.
Mayer?
This gives you some kind of structure to go along with him, and I mean, just know that it can be challenging in parts, but if you stick with it, you'll be satisfied.
Yeah, like it's one thing to have an aversion to violence or to nudity or to language or something like that, but then it's also like you have to get used to how you are exposed to a David Lynch movie, like what he's doing with them.
Yeah, like
Right.
it's all servicing a bigger mood and atmosphere because that's what he prides himself on. I would say I'm not speaking for him, but I think he likes to convey a certain atmosphere or tone to projects that he makes, and it's not about like I don't like using style over substance, but he has a unique style, but the substance within there is like you're drawing a certain atmosphere or mood out of his projects he makes, which I like to connect with and kind of vibe with more than like the dialogue or the acting or whatever. But everybody does great. Like under his direction, everybody's doing fine. Like there's some people that are kind of hit or miss, or like maybe not that great of acting talent. Like the dude in the mustard suit, like you're like, let's get going now.
Yeah, come on, John.
Come on, John, let's go.
Let's
Like
get a move
they
on.
just found him somewhere. But yeah,
Right.
everybody does a serviceable job in his movies.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with what you just said, where like what draws you, and I feel like I would agree with that statement, like what draws us back to David Lynch projects, and specifically since we're on a Twin Peaks bender, what draws us back to that is more atmosphere than the content. Because yeah, the dialogue between Donna and James when they're standing in a gazebo, I honestly kind of don't care about, but the mood of that scene and the mood of that show is what brings me back every single time.
Music and everything, all of that
Yeah.
stuff helps draw that mood out. And
We were getting to a point in our conscious lives as human beings feeling like, ooh, I'm kind of feeling like that mood's tugging on my brain, and we went back there because of the mood, not not for Ed, you make me sick.
yeah, the strange characters. I mean, I am there for the strange characters because it's fun to see them again. But also,
But you're not there for that specific line of dialogue. Like maybe we
Yeah.
might go back and revisit certain movies because of the dialogue, or
Yeah, this imagery is definitely in Mulholland Drive. Like, there's a full sequence in Mulholland Drive that's so out of place and very Lynchian. Like, you would just be like, "Oh, that's totally Lynch right there."
Yeah, the man in the yellow suit is 100%.
Just standing there, being like, "This is like otherworldly,"
Mustard.
Yeah,
Like,
no explanation of what happened to him.
he's just brain is out of his head.
Any of this too.
I guarantee you, he put him in that yellow suit so that we'd see because we only see him like once or twice.
Maybe he's the candy-colored
And then-
clown.
Well, but then you see him later in the police station,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that was pretty far removed from when we first saw him. So maybe the yellow suit was there as a visual cue, for you to make that connection faster. You know what I mean?
Like the color yellow is like very noticeable, and your eye just kind of
Mhm.
goes to it.
And they call
Because
him
if he was
that at
wearing
the diner.
different clothes, both times, you wouldn't immediately put together who that guy is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, they do that though. They reuse the song and the fabric and the idea of blue velvet throughout the movie.
Mhm.
So maybe there is further context in that of like, what did the songwriter mean through those words that he was singing? What, when that song came out, what was the mood of the people at the time, you know?
Yeah, and if you don't really want to watch this movie, I would say just grab some Blue Velvet and shove it in your mouth. You might understand it after that.
You have to
It all
put
comes
yourself in the
together, dude.
mind of a baby man, and you have to
Yep.
moan. You have
Some of you
to.
there.
You have to
No,
punch
I'm not.
somebody in
I'm
the
not.
face.
I'm not going to recommend that anybody consume ether.
Yeah,
No.
but only if you have like a nice hip flask for it.
Yeah.
No, just don't do it unless you're Dr. Gonzo or Hunter S. Thompson. Don't do it.
Anything else to add to this discussion?
Just keep on durning.
Dern as hard as you want.
Can you freeze on that image of him looking up with that fucking
His eyebrows. Burt Reynolds.
He looks like Eugene Levy, like he's trying to do a Eugene Levy costume.
Those
A
beady
quick
eyes.
shot when he's looking up the stairwell.
I see you. Oh shit.
Oh, he's hairy.
So good. So good.
No, I mean, last thing I'll say. Second to last thing I'll say, animatronic bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very last thing I'll say. You,
Birds are fake. There's no
you
birds
were-
aren't real.
You were very correct in a lot of your, in a lot of you saying that this had a lot of similarities and follow throughs to Twin Peaks. I definitely see it. 100% see it.
I'd say yeah. There definitely he was in the same mindset when he made Twin Peaks, and then when he made this, or from making this, you can extrapolate a lot into Twin Peaks. But that could be with a bunch of other of his media too. So that's why we'd have to watch like Mulholland Drive or maybe Lost Highway or Inland Empire or whatever else,
Right now on this shot, just add in.
And just transition into our next episode of
start an episode,
season
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Brown,
Brown, brown.
big brown.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking with us with Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet and Lynch media. Let us know what your favorite Lynch piece of media is, or just discuss Blue Velvet in the comments.
What's your favorite thing for mood, whether it's music or book or film or what it be? What has a mood that you want to go back to and why?
And why is it Blue Velvet in your mouth?
I want to go back to Blue Velvet in my mouth.